Howdy everybody, Secret Muffin. Today I'm going to do a video for you for the Necromancer healing class. It's really all I've played since I've installed the game. I've logged a lot of time with it, a lot of experience, a lot of trials and tribulations. So hopefully we'll give you a good overview of what to do and various different content, from PvE to PvP to VMA to when you're just doing solo stuff by yourself, to groups to trials. We'll cover gear, food, setups, CP points, and all that good stuff. So to get started, my primary PvE setup. So my preferred set is Jorvold's here. My front bar, as you can see, I like to run a lot of resto staff abilities. I know, but they're just so good. I mean, it is what it is. So we run Illustrious Healing. Even with the change, it was Healing Springs, now it's Illustrious Healing. Still good. You just don't spam it anymore. You fire it and you forget about it. Replace it as necessary. But basically a large cone AoE that you just throw down on the ground and heals everybody in the area. Provides a nice AoE. Next you have Radiating Regeneration. It was once mutagen. Still great. I take this, morph on it. It's for more allies. I prefer the extra healing, and along with Healing Ward and Combat Prayer. So the reason I like to take these two abilities is the Necromancer is a really positional class. So as you're going to see when I get going here, I'm moving around a lot. And I do this constantly, except for points in which I have to stack, like in trials and whatnot, which there's still a place for that too with your tether and everything else, which is also great. Tether is great all around for stacking and running around, but we'll get there as well. But basically, say you're doing Cloud Rest and everyone's all over the place and they're spread out. These are two abilities you can basically just pop off your bar, and they just heal people around you, right? And this one automatically picks the lowest health target, so I don't necessarily have to be looking at them while I'm spinning around in circles. I can just fire it and it's going to grab the lowest health target and hopefully save the day for them. So I kind of like these as just items that I don't have to be looking at my target while I'm running around. I can just kind of run around and be doing this and just spam it, right? It's just great overall for when, a lot of chaos, lots of things going on. I can still be providing healing for people while keeping myself in a safe position and positioning myself right in the areas that I need to be in. You could, if you really wanted to, you could, that ward could be resistant flesh. This is a much stronger heal. It does give you defile, it does heal for a lot more, but the catch to that is you have to have them in your sights. So in a chaotic situation, and in trials, there's all kinds of people running around. A DPS could be running in front of your tank anyways. It's very hard sometimes to make sure that you've got line of sight on the exact target that you want and that it's going to hit that target. It's just a preference thing for me. I do like it as a strong heal, but I just typically don't run it in group content for that reason. I run it, sometimes by myself for a self-heal in VMA, which we'll get to, but as far as group content, I would much rather just have skills like these that just kind of fire at the lowest health target and, pick up people and just automatically start healing. In a dungeon, for example, this goes to 3 allies. I only have 3 other allies in the dungeon, so it's typically gonna, go to all of them and provide them all with some form of healing, whether I'm, looking at them, whatever is going on or not. And the reason that I like Ward over everything else is it synergizes a lot with Jorvold's Guidance. So Jorvold's Guidance increases the duration of all your major buffs, minor buffs, and damage shields you apply to you, yourself, and allies by 40%. So a lot of the skills that I run, right, we're increasing major buffs, minor buffs, and allies. So, you're looking at Healing Word, Combat Prayer, Warhorn, right? Like, you throw major consecration on the ground, right? All of these great things, like you're just increasing, this ability and this ability and your Warhorn ability. Like Warhorn lasts forever with that. So it's just a great overall complement. On top of, just being strong with recovery and straight healing done, I absolutely love the synergistic, nature that it has with how much you want to buff and debuff as a healer in general, right? Because it's kind of your job, is to buff and debuff people. So um, it's just, it's great overall. So um, combat prayer, pretty self-explanatory. Throw it down in front of you, make sure the group's in front of you. Basically, it increases their damage and adds additional resistance. You just, chuck it on the ground, go straight ahead, try to hit as many people as you can, things of that nature. And then the gem, to me, of this class. If you want to learn how to play the Necro Healing class, to me, you need to learn how to use Braided Tether. So you siphon the remnants of a corpse, healing for 16k damage over 12 seconds between you and all allies around you, right? And it scales off your highest defensive stat. On top of it, just because you have it slotted, your healing done is increased by 3%. So we're increasing all of these by 3%, and it's a super strong AoE heal to complement Illustrious Healing, right? So what you want to do, and we'll go to Mender here real quick on the back bar just so I can show you. So I take Intensive Mender. Intensive Mender, the reason I take this particular morph is A, it heals for more. That's just good, right? We're a healer. And B, it cuts the duration in half. Now you think, oh, you like that it cuts the duration in half? Yes, I do. Because it only lasts for 8 seconds, you can create corpses faster for your tether. So the way that the corpse creation works is it will create a corpse when it dies. However, you can recast it while it's under half of its remaining duration to manually create that corpse yourself. So if we recast it again, boom, there's a corpse, boom, I can tether, right? Oh, he's going to die again, boom, there's a corpse, boom, I can tether. And I can constantly keep a stream going, right? Tether, corpse, tether, corpse. By constantly cycling through these two, and I can have a constant flow of corpses from my Mender. So he's healing stronger, I'm healing stronger. He's single target healing people far away, I'm AoE healing people next to me or within my tether, in which, I'm running around, casting my mutagen, my steadfast ward, and I'm, basically running over here and creating a tether for people, that they can pick up on. Oh, I cast it too early. It's very, very positional, but it plays into the running around that I love to do so much, right? So I can be running around, positioning this tether into ways that I can be healing people while I'm throwing this out in the meantime and getting into those spots. Braided Tether is one of my favorite Necro heal, like by far. So on my back bar, Energy Orb, you just gotta have it. It's expected. You're a healer, throw them out there, try to give them to your tank. It's just, it is what it is. They need magic or stamina, and you need to give it to them. So put them out there as often as you can. Just do it. It's your job. Elemental Drain. This is a Destruction Staff ability. So Elemental Drain, obviously we give them Major Breach and Magicka Steel. So we apply Major Breach and Fracture with the Boneyard. So it is a little redundant, with this ability, but I still use it because it's positional. This is spammable, right? So like this has to kind of stay in one area and you can only have the one active. Whereas this, if you have multiple enemies, you can just kind of spam, 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 and just kind of, put it on that guy and put it on that guy and put it on that guy, right? And so no matter where the group is, you can apply that debuff to them. So it's still good. Plus it gives magicka steal for your DPS who are damaging the guys. So this is a little better on the debuffs, but this has a little more utility. Blockade of Storms, slam your staff down, concuss, you can knock them off balance. Just a solid skill overall to have. People, just more and more use. Unnerving Barnyard, again, major breach and fracture. You can consume a corpse to deal 50% more damage. We don't really care about that in PvE. When we're solo, it does matter a little bit more, but they can activate the Grave Robber synergy, doing more damage and healing you for the damage done. Probably one of the best necro skills overall that you just have, period. It's great. Use it for everything. I got nothing but praise and nothing bad to say about this skill. And people use your synergies on it too, by the way. Thanks. And I typically run for my ults. I typically run Renewing Animation. This is a life-saving ult that just picks everybody off the ground. You think you're about to wipe, you're not about to wipe. You just pick everybody up, and it's great. Be careful when using this ability though, because they don't have the choice of when to decide to res, so you're going to pick them up even if they're standing in AoE, and then they're going to immediately die, and they're going to be sad. And we don't want to make people sad. So if possible, try to time it with, the content and what's going on, and when you pick them up, because they don't choose when to stand up. You force them to stand up. So you can kill your friends again. You can bring them back to life and kill them again, But hey, you're a necro, so, it's kind of fitting. And Warhorn, it's just, a given, great, buff, debuff. In general, this is my trial setup. I run Bogdan's, Jorvold's, Olarims, and then I run a Torg's Pact on the back. So I like Bogdan's for just the additional healing. It's just great overall. That little healing totem guy is just amazing. He does a ton of healing passively without you having to do any of the work. Again, just like, my mutagen, radiating regeneration, and steadfast ward. These are, all passive things that I can just kind of have spammed out there without really having to do the work and still providing healing to my group. So I really enjoy it. It's just a strong shoulder set overall. This is my preferred set. Jorvold's Guidance, kind of already went over that. Increasing the major and minor buffs plays into a lot of our skills. And speaking of playing into our skills, it plays right into Olarims, right? Because you gain, when you cast abilities on the ground in combat, you will create a circle of might for 10 seconds. You and your allies gain major courage for 42, and increasing your weapon and spell damage for, for a long ass time. Again, this plays into Jorvold's, right? Like, such a great compliment, giving them major courage, giving your team major courage for a longer period of time is just, it's super strong. You want to be doing everything you can for them, and this just, they don't know it, but you're secretly helping them out. On my weapon, so, okay, real quick, I'm running max magicka on pretty much everything, by the way, with divines and infused accordingly, right? Like infused on my larger pieces, and I would like Tristat here, but I don't have it yet. And Mundus on my smaller stuff. Olarims, my weapon. So I do have the staff, so I'm fortunate enough that I can run this as a healing set on my front bar. So happy I got this, even though I've only done a few Cloud Rest runs. It's made me very, very happy. So, want to go into buffs, right? Oh, the minor aegis. That's right. Oh, don't forget you get minor aegis too at all times. You're providing so many buffs. Isn't it great? So I use a weapon damage enchantment with precise. So it increases your spell crit and your spell damage. Again, it's on your front bar, which is where all your healing is. It's more and more just hard hitting heals, right? Like that's what we want to be doing as much as possible while we're on our front bar, is hitting our heals as hard as humanly possible, which is why I run spell damage here and here on my jewelry. Also, I'm going to change this and run spell damage here as well. I haven't done it yet, but for the sake of this is going to actually become spell damage too, because I've pretty much gotten to where I need to be with my sustain, that I think I can swap some more out for a little more spell damage just to keep inching a little bit of that healing. On my back bar, I just have a lightning staff of Torg's back. You know, this guy's been good to me forever and ever. I haven't seen the need to change it. I haven't found anything else that I want to use in its place yet. So, you know, it's just a great set. Overall, it's a great craftable set you can acquire for yourself. Pick it up if you want, you know, if you're able to do so, have someone craft it for you or what have you. I run the Crusher with Infused, so Crusher's reducing the target's physical and spell resistance, and Infused makes it so that it is increased by a 30% effect, and the cooldown is reduced by 50%, meaning it procs more often, meaning you're debuffing the target for your DPS more often. Beautiful, right? I know, it's gorgeous. So that's my primary trial setup, and this is for when, you know, I'm doing serious content. An alternative set you can run is Worms. This is for when your group doesn't have as much sustain, you know, maybe your DPS, you have a lot of magicka DPS or something, magicka tank, and they're just having trouble, you know, maintaining, you know, sustain. With the change to the orbs, to your energy orbs, sometimes it's all right to run, like say, I don't know, maybe in Cloud Rest, right, where the group's spread out all the time and you can't get that energy orb to everybody because you can only give one of them, and you're going to really try to give it to the tank. And you know, this allows you to give that sustain to the DPS that are around you while, you know, being able to focus giving the orbs to the tank. So, you know, it is a good alternative, you know, to like Jorvold's. So sometimes I run Worm's Raiment as well. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing, maybe what the other healer is wearing, you know, things of that nature. But just another solid set overall. I mean, I run the same shoulders and weapon and everything else with that. This is just my Worm Cult set. So great set there. So for solo content, I am super greedy. So I run Torg's Pact, crafted. Everything is training. Damage. Julianos set. Julianos. I literally run all of this for just a constant stream of damage. Is this guy gonna get me killed while I'm doing my video? So I do all my day-to-day stuff in this gear. This is my training and damage gear. Same with the solo, it's the same exact set. I just have a different bar for solo versus the group. This is this content with this, and I pretty much run this. I do vet dungeons on a regular basis with this. As long as the group is fine, I found that I can get away with it. If the group is kind of terrible, you know, I'll go to one of these and give them that extra healing or sustain or what have you. But for the most part, I do the majority of my vet dungeons in training gear. And that's just because I'm CP 400 and I'm greedy and I want to get more. So I've found that it's pretty much been okay. You don't have to run a healing, you know, a training set. I just like to. So But if you want to, Torg's pack, just craft yourself a training Torg set with some Julianos and go to town, man. You know, it's great. I love it. I out DPS some DPS sometimes when they're really, really terrible wall healing and getting them through a dungeon. You know, with all the spell damage that I'm getting from my Julianos, I just run, let's see, I'm running max magicka on all of them so that I have more magicka, yep. And then spell damage, spell damage, spell damage. I have an absorb magic on the back just for a little bit of restore magic in case I need it. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much damage. So that's gear sets I run for that. For running my battlegrounds, I run Armor Master. So my Armor Master set, so we're kind of getting into PvP here, huh? I didn't go over all my, well, we'll get there. So I run Armor Master and I run it in light. I run it with Troll King. I run Transmutation. And the reason that I run Armor Master and I run this on the front and the back bar. So if we go to my, let's see, if we go to here, we can take a look at it. So harness magicka. So you convert a portion of your magicka into a ward, gaining a damage shield, right? Damage shield's great. Damage shield strength is 50% max health, whatever. Each piece of light armor increases your magicka restored by 33%. So you absorb damage and you gain magic. This effect can occur a lot. It's great. It's just a nice overall shield that absorbs damage and gives you magicka. But most importantly, too, by slotting this, we're gaining a bonus. While you have an armor ability slotted, your max health is increased by 5%. When you use an armor ability, your physical and spell resistance is increased by 5,300. So basically, the idea here for my PvP running is we're gaining 5% max health just for having it, so I run it on both the back and front bar, and I'm gaining resistances while I have it active. So no matter what, whatever bar I'm on, I can use it, and when I'm using it, I'm gaining spell and physical resistance, and I have max health at all times by slotting it on my front and my back. So that's the combination I've done. What I've found is this helps make me incredibly tanky along with my other skills. So you have to be running light armor in order to really be getting this bonus, because you have to run 5 pieces. So you pretty much run this set in light, and since that makes you a little softer because you're wearing light armor, we're making up for it with the Harness Magicka ability. So I also run Troll King. I don't have the heavy yet. I need to go get it. As you can see too, everything is impenetrable. Troll King just increases your healing and also helps save people from dying. Just a great overall PvP shoulder set. Transmutation. So I run Transmutation gear because it's also a great PvP set. The primary ability being when you heal yourself or an ally. With a healing over time ability, you grant them crit resistance. And we all know we want crit resistance, we're in PvP. So by running this all the time, you're getting that great crit resistance. I run the hardening enchantment with defending, so it's all about damage shields and resistance. Damage shields and resistance. As you can see, we're just being tanky, tanky, tanky. Nothing can kill me. When you heal yourself, you save yourself. You slot this, you gain more health, you gain more resistance, you gain more health and resistance, you gain more health and resistance. Impenetrable, impenetrable. Defense, defense, defense. They can't kill you. And if they can't kill you, you can keep your DPS alive. They can't pick you out, and as long as your DPS can do their job, you're gonna raffle stomp people in PvP. Trust me, like when I get good DPS, I just carry them through it, and it's an amazing sight, and I love it. My PvP skills I run, I run Illustrious Healing, Radiating Regeneration. I run Harness Magicka. We went over that already. We know what these two do. For this, I actually like to run Renewing Undeath. So the reason I like to run Renewing Undeath here is because you have a lot of corpses in the area. On top of creating corpses with your bone armor, because we are using bone armor here, or your mender, you have a lot of bodies on the floor too. And this is like a stagnant AoE. It has to be in an area. It's a really great skill, but you need it. It's only really good when people aren't moving around, right? So what we'll see here is let's give you a look here. It looks gorgeous too, by the way. Look at that beautiful necro skull. Gosh. So you absorb a corpse, but in PvP there's corpses everywhere. So on top of your bone armor and your mender creating corpses, people are dying. And in PvP, a lot of people just fight in the same area and they smash faces against each other until one of them wins, right? So just ground pound AoE like that is just really beneficial to just fire and forget and leave on the floor, giving them a nice strong heal. It also removes 3 negative effects, and in PvP people are constantly trying to, put debuffs on you too. So it provides a group debuff as well as just a nice AoE heal, over the area. So just in complement to Illustrious Healing, it's just a great, hey, we're all fighting in a circle, kind of throw on the ground and use ability. Inner Light, Major Prophecy, crit rating, max magicka. Oh, and by the way, those invis guys who think they're going to stand there and hide can't stand there and hide, and your DPS can see them. As a support class, you want to be able to just, reveal people. I've now started slotting this for even Imperial City, even though that could be a judgment call for you. But if you don't like the people getting to hide around you and chase you around and stuff, you could start running that. But in Battlegrounds, for sure, you definitely want Inner Light. I spam this constantly and follow people around who are trying to run away while they're stealth while my DPS is chasing them down. It helps, ensure kills a lot more than so just great supportability. So on the back bar, we've got Beckoning Armor. I take the Beckoning Armor morph because it gives you physical resistance, spell resistance, and it pulls people towards you when they hit you. So a lot of tanks use this, but I use it in PvP because that range DPS who thinks he's going to stand up there and hit you from the ledge, guess what? You're going to pull him right down in front of you for your melee DPS, and you're going to pull him right into you where you can throw a boneyard on him, and you guys can go to town on that range DPS who thinks he's just going to hit you and peck at you with a bow all day. So hopefully they don't try to pick on you because they may regret it. So this just pulls people in. It's great. It also, like I said, creates those additional corpses that last a really long time, so you don't, you can use it and forget about it for a while you're in the hectic combat of PvP. I use the only damage skill I use in Battlegrounds is Hungry Scythe, and that's because it's damage with healing. So, when you've got that huge group in front of you and you've thrown all your ground AoEs down and you've got all your heals going, sometimes you can just spam this if they're trying to hit you, to kind of provide a little bit of DPS while also keeping yourself standing, it's a heavy heal if you hit a lot of people, and sometimes in PvP you've got just a lot of people in front of you. Great solo skill and great battleground skill as well. Unnerving Boneyard, this one pretty much goes without saying. Buffs, debuffs, major breach and fracture to enemies, spell and physical resistance. You make it so that you damage people better, synergies for heals and more damage. And then we've already gone over the Mender. In PvP, I like to run Glacial Colossus. You can use the animation, but honestly, this is the primarily used ultimate in PvP. So it's just, you get to do major vulnerability. It's one of the very few skills in the game that get to give major vulnerability to anybody for 3 seconds, increasing their damage they take by 30%. So if your DPS are on top of it while you're doing this, as long as they're damaging it while this is going on, they're going to get melted. So timing on this is real critical, but man, if that timing gets perfect, I've wiped entire groups by myself. I wish I had recording stuff going on when I did that, because I would love to show you. But this is my most used in Battleground for sure. So that's kind of my Battleground setup. It's pretty much the same kind of setup here with Imperial City. At the moment, I haven't really felt there's too much of a difference. The only difference is I'm running instead of I got Inner Light. No, I don't have any difference. I just slotted them different. And then the last setup I have is for VMA. So VMA is all about sustain, right? So for VMA, I run Blood Spawns, I run Bleaching, and I still run my Julianos for damage. But this is what's really giving me my sustain, right? Like, we run this in heavy because we need to. And just health, healing, health. And when you take damage, which you're going to take damage a lot, you summon Legion Poison Clouds. It's not so much about the damage those Poison Clouds do, it's that the damage they do heals you, and you can get a lot of them, and it's a good sustain set just to self-heal with. So that's why I'm currently running the Leeching set for VMA. Did it switch my... Yeah. So for VMA, your primary damage is Blast Bones and Ricochet Skull. This is just a, fire and forget, lob it at enemies. It bounces around. I take the Ricochet Skull to bounce around to hit more guys. Blast Bones creates a corpse. It does flame damage. It's pretty simple, just damage and damage. I run Resistant Flesh because it's a bigger self-heal. Like I said, this needs a target, but if you are the only target, it's going to heal you, so you can just click it and it'll self-heal yourself for a lot. We don't really care about the defile. You do get spell and physical resistance anyways. While you heal half of it, you could expunge and modify it and get rid of the defile, but it's not really that necessary, and it costs you health to cast anyways. But it's an option, if you like to do that. Sometimes I do it, depends on where I'm at with my health after I heal. But you can expunge and modify it. So Mystic Siphon. So this drains a corpse it does a lot of shock damage to enemies around. It's basically a tether. It's a DPS tether. If you play DPS Necro, you would know. And you restore magicka from it. Also, while slotted, we're doing more damage. So we got our damage abilities on this bar. It's slotting, doing more damage. This does damage itself, and it restores magicka. So it's just, this is kind of our DPS setup. We run like one self-heal on this front side. And then Inner Light, we're actually just slotting Inner Light for Max Magicka and Major Prophecy and Spell Crit. It's just such good buff to have. Every little thing you can give yourself in VMA is going to do it for you. So you want, that Max Magicka is huge, Prophecy is huge, Crit rating's huge. So we slot it on the front and the back. Beckoning Armor, again, just major resolve and major ward, physical and spell resistance, great, amazing defensive skill. You need to live in BMA, this helps you live. Same with your Mender, helps you live. Debuff with your Boneyard. Expunge and Modify is the only really other one we haven't gone over yet that goes into this, but just by slotting this alone, you can get rid of some of those nasty debuffs that you need to get rid of. But on top of it, it reduces the cost of all your abilities by 3% too. So it makes everything that you're throwing down on here cheaper, which everything that goes into this is about sustain. And speaking of The primary ult you're going to use, now I have a damage one on the front. This could be Meteor. I don't have Meteor yet, but if you wanted Meteor, I plan on getting it and slotting it here. I just haven't gotten my Mage Guild to level 10 yet because there's so much to do, like make videos. So the main one you want to use is Ravenous Goliath. This heals you immediately for 30,000 and gives you 30,000 extra health. So even if you're full health, you heal for 30,000 more because you just got 30,000 more. This is amazing. You're going to need to use it often, a lot, as much as possible, which goes into the reason that I am running Blood Spawns. Because when you take damage, you have a 6% chance to generate 14 ultimate, and it increases resistance. So you get resistances, and you're generating ultimate. Generating ultimate is muy importante in VMA. So you want to be able to use your Goliath as much as possible because this thing just is a lifesaver and saves your runs. You know, you gotta have it. So it plays right into that. Great, just great overall. So that's why I run the shoulders that I do as well, because primarily because of this skill. I mean, it's just an amazing like solo tank. Like you want to turn yourself into a tank ability. This does it. So that's my VMA. I don't think I have anything else that I need to go over in here. Let's go to my solo set, what I run when I'm solo. So when I play solo, I just run a Scythe for damage, Siphon for damage, and Ricochet Skull on the back, and a Boneyard. So a little self-healing, damage and sustain, you know, little stream of healing. Expunge and Modify, the reason I actually have this on here when I'm doing solo is because, you know, guys like to tether you when you're just trying to run by them and get to your objective, and it's annoying. So I throw down my Mender, he heals me, and I just run. Maybe I throw this down in front of me as I run, you know, just kind of like a nice little, you know, yay, we're going to put up where this guy, and we're going to throw this in front of us as we run. Keep running, and I'll be spamming Expunge and Modify if anything's trying to slow me down. You know, hamstring effects, things like that, where they're trying to, you know, slow you down. You don't want that. You know, nobody wants that. You just want to get things done. You know what I mean? So that's why we have that there. It's really for nothing else other than I want to get things done. Drain, this helps us do more damage, knock things off balance. All this plays into just helping us do more damage. We can spam this. And if you're going to die, I have Goliath slotted, you know, like public dungeon bosses maybe, right? Like you want to use this, like, oh god, that public dungeon boss is hitting me real hard because I'm trying to do this by myself. You have your Goliath so that you know, make sure you live. And just overall, generally, otherwise, you just use this for spam damage, for trash mobs, whatever, just clear things out a little faster. You know, that's what I use that for. So, I did cover my gear on that, right? That I wear all the Torgs packed with the training. I sure hope I did. And Julianos with damage, and training, because I'm greedy and I'm 400 CP and I want more. Give me more. And then, let's see, last, we've got put everything into magicka naturally. My boon is the Atronach. My most commonly used food is the Witch Mother's Potent Brew. You can use Artaeum's Pickled Fish if you just want more health and magicka, like if your sustain is fine. You know, it's kind of up to you, but for me, I've been plenty happy with my Witch Mothers. potions, general content, I just use basic essences, but when I'm doing trials, I'll run the essence of spell power. That's what you should be using. So major sorcery, major prophecy, and tons of magicka and major intellect, increasing your magic recovery. You use it, it's great. I spam it in trials, but that's about the only place I use it. Other than that, I'm using the essence of magicka. So as far as now, well, we can go into CP points here too. So I'm on my PvP, huh? So, well, we can go over the PvP one first since it's going to cost me money to change and show you. So for PvP, the only real big difference is I have more points in resistant, and then like I think in my spell shield right now, because I want that extra crit resistance. Right now I only got 400, so I'm still kind of split out, but I wanted to have at least 75 in here so that I can get the resilient trait. When you take critical damage, you heal. So it's crit resistance, and they're trying to crit me, and you're also self-healing, right? So this is the main one that you don't want when you're doing PvE, but when you're doing PvP content, this is the one that you tend to slot more points into. Otherwise, other than that, you're going to want ironclad point. You can do this as how you want. But ironclad spell shield. Oops. Going over here, I pretty much have all my points in the apprentice so far. I have spell erosion, only a couple points so far into there. I'm really working on blessed. It's 75. I'm pretty much about where I want to be with that. And then elfborn, you can kind of split these though, and then some into the spell erosion. So keep hitting the wrong button, ladies and gentlemen. As far as this, I pretty much split everything between Arcanist and Tenacity. They're both great skills. Magicka Recovery and increases the magicka and stam of your fully charged heavy attacks, how much they restore. So sustain, sustain, sustain. When I get more points, I will be putting more into Warlord to reduce the cost of break free, and maybe some roll dodge under tumbling would be like where I'll probably go to next, but I just haven't gotten there yet. I'd rather have sustain at this point, and that's what I've got it pretty much maxed out at. I should probably have more in the break free in my PvP setup, to be real honest, but I just don't. As far as like VMA, we change it up a little bit. So we're gonna load. Oh, did I just spend extra money? I think I did. Oh, I have unspent points all over the place. I haven't done it for a little while. So for VMA, take some more in Mooncalf for some stam recovery. You're going to prioritize a bit more like your roll dodge, as you can see here, reducing the cost of block and shadow ward, as you see there. Again, this is all about staying alive, right? Reducing your cost of sprint, reducing the cost of break free. These things are a lot more important when it comes to doing VMA. So, you definitely want to change your points. Typically, this is pretty common anyways, a split between hardy, elemental, and thick-skinned. That doesn't really change no matter what your setup. And then spell shield and ironclad over here. Atronach, I've thrown a few points in master at arms just for a little bit of damage, and I've kind of split my elfborn and blessed. I have way more in elfborn for crit damage and healing, and then a lot more in elemental expert, right, because I need to be able to do some more damage to get through it, and spell erosion for the spell penetration. So we're trying to do more damage, right? Like we can throw some more probably over here into thaumaturge, right, if I wanted to, but I don't think I have any damage over time effect slotted actually. But those are kind of like your focus areas for that, right? So we'll go to, I got my PvP healer. We'll load that one. And then the only other changes I think I have here, let's see, I just have a couple in spell erosion. Let's see, what did I slot? Oh, my red ones are all slotted different. So I'm a little more even across the board here. And as you can see, why do I have one in resistant? What is wrong with me? I thought I saved that out. Well, anyways, you don't really need that 1 point. I must have, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't listen to this guy. But Ironclad and Spell Shield. Ironclad's a huge one. And then just split across the board. And same here, Arcanist and Tenacity. I think I only put a couple in Warlord. Yep, to get the break free reduced by a whopping 1%. Will my 2 points get me up to? No, of course it won't. But that's my CP trees. You know, it's still a work in progress, but that's where I'm at for now. As far as like rotations and content and actually playing, so alright, all my bars are loaded. I'm not going to kill things as fast because this is, you know, what I run for dungeons and trials and whatnot, but what we're really looking at here is we're going to open up typically with a elemental drain, right? And then we'll cast our pet, we'll run up, we'll boneyard, we'll run into blockade. We'll typically start spamming up some of our heals and then throwing an orb maybe for the tank, right? By then we should be able to recast our mender, creating a corpse if it hasn't died already. We'll turn, we'll tether it, and we're gonna kind of rinse and repeat. It's not necessarily a set rotation, but there's a general overall like good flow to it that almost feels like a DPS rotation. Now, as a healer, you don't have a rotation per se, but you know, I've just found that it's just a general like good flow. So like I'll run, you know, spam a bunch of this up, right? We'll come up, we'll boneyard, we'll shock, heal up a mender, heal, prayer, that. Our mender will kill it, pick up a tether, right? Rinse, repeat, go back to shock, throw that for the tank, debuff, debuff, and debuff, all these things. Mender goes down, pick him back up, combat prayer, healing, mutagen, shield, right? And everything's dead. This is like I don't know if you can kind of see the pattern and flow to it here, but this is kind of the way that I work it. So we're gonna run up, debuff, right? Drop him, heals, pick him up, pick up the corpse with our feather. Oh, where did my corpse go? There we go. Prayer, healing, debuffs, drain. You would throw an orb. Granted, if I was in a group, you'd throw more orbs for tanks. Pick the guy back up. The anchor's still running around. Need another group. Oh, you're still here. So the really nice thing is just picking up your own, you know, just utilizing your own mender as a tool, right? So like, you know, if you kind of open up with your mender, come up, you're gonna throw down your debuffs, right? You recast them, you can turn and pick them right back up, just like that. Throw down your heals, throw out a shield, throw down a prayer, recast your mender, recast your debuffs, throw an orb for the tank, recast him, pick him back up, off the ground, right? Rinse and repeat over and over. But that's kind of like your general flow, right? If you, oh, I hit him a little too early. See, if you hit him on that 4 seconds, you're not going to pick him back up. But if you wait till he's under, now you can pick him back up. Throw that down, debuffs, and good. So that's kind of like your general like rotations. You know, for solo, I run things a little bit differently. You know, just so I can go running by guys because I don't feel like fighting them. So like, you know, when I'm doing solo, it's like, hey, yeah, a bunch of guys here. I'm gonna throw a mender out. I'm gonna throw these in front of me, and I'm just gonna keep going. And if they try to slow me down, I'm just gonna expunge and modify with my 4 slotted on my 4 slot. Now they didn't try to slow me, but basically I'm just gonna be able to keep going and going, and you're gonna be able to cleanse yourself, you know, with expunge and modify, and that's why that's slotted on the bar. I have a little bit more damage stuff for this. Oh, I decided to take off. So the last thing I want to really like point out is like positioning with your tether. So like, doesn't want to fight me. You don't want to fight me, friend. So a lot of the time, hey, I picked that up. Thanks. A lot of the times you'll want to run around, like, if you can, if the tank allows for it, so like the other sides of the group, so that you hit them in this line with that tether, right? So like, you know, you get this and you're going around the group, and you want to put yourself in a position where wherever your banker, see my banker standing, I want to heal him, so I want to get like over there, you know, with it, so make sure that I provide him heals. So maybe I'll be standing back here throwing my heals, or, you know, run up on the other side of the group, even as long as as long as it's safe to be on the front side of the tank, right? Because you don't always want to do that because they might be feeding away from the group. But you can find positions generally a lot that you can get to, you know, whether it's kind of off to the side a little bit, like over here, or like off to this side where you can like still get the tank in a tether, but not necessarily be on the front side of the boss. So these are things that you want to take into consideration when using that. But I don't know if my rotation, a skill explanation, any of this stuff has helped you guys out at all, but we're going to go ahead and try to fight all these last guys one more time. So, oh, it didn't change my back bar. Why? What? Other. So the other let's see. So positioning this tether is like pretty important. So the reason you take the braided tether is because it provides that AoE around you, so it gives you that group heal. You can see like my Mystic Siphon doesn't really do that, right? Like it doesn't have that nice pretty AoE going around me when I use it. So that's why you take the braided tether mode for this lovely, gorgeous AoE heal for people. Let's see. Hopefully I covered everything. Hopefully this was helpful to some of you people. Hopefully you guys didn't mind my dog sneezing and making noises there when he's in his kennel. But that's my general standard rotation. Recast, pick him up, combat prayer for that, throw something out maybe for the tank, right? Debuffs, See, and you can be running around. What I like about mutagen and the healing ward is you can be running around like this. Oh, I'm gonna pick up that, right? Oh, I'm gonna think that. Recast my mender, debuff, slam, debuff, pick my tether back up, throw a mutagen, you know, throw the ward, throw another healing on the ground, right? Like, as you can see, like, it's all very positional, and like, you want to use this tether to like really help out your group. So, and just be looking for corpses, because like a great tip is like, look, it only highlights when you have a corpse to pick up. So you know when you have that corpse to pick up. Which is very helpful. So like you can kind of be doing other things and like throwing your mutagen, throwing your ward, dropping the springs, and once you have a corpse in your sight, right, you can be like, oh, okay, I can pick that up now, and boom, you hit it, and you've got a feather, and you've got that heal. I almost rolled myself off the edge. And you know, all while you're doing this, you're gonna want to be, you know, spamming that orb, you know, be retained, right? That's just kind of a given. It's just, I'm just not throwing as many of them, I suppose, because I'm not giving it to anybody. But yeah. I think that's pretty much about everything that I wanted to cover. Was there anything else? Oh, I went over, like beginner sets and stuff too, right? Like if you don't have all these sets, and you want to know like some beginner gear and whatnot that you can wear, great choices.
Speak with me a moment.
Let's see if I still have them. Yeah, I got too much stuff in my bank, I know. So beginner sets, choke thorns. Choke thorns is easy to get when you're not high enough CP yet. It's a great little healing set, very easy to obtain. Monster set and shoulders. Where is prayer set, prayer shawl set? So this is from Spindle Clutch. Whenever you heal a friendly target, you have a 6% chance to grant them a damage shield that absorbs damage. So the prayer set is very easy to obtain. I ran this for a long time until I got my worms. By the way, that choke thorn set provides a little healing totem, kind of like the Bogdan's does. So when you use a heal ability, you have a 15% chance to summon a strangler that heals for a ton. So it makes a nice little healing totem guy for you. So that's very useful. And also the for cheap jewelry, the willpower set is always real great for people for cheap jewelry. It looks like I dumped my willpower, so I don't have that to show you. But the willpower set's a good cheap set as far as various monster shoulders. Like I wear Troll King for PvP. Earthgore is great. Symphony of Blades is great. Where is my Symphony of Blades? You know, Bogdan's is my preferred. And then, like I said, Chokethorn is kind of beginner. Also, if you want, you know, craft yourself a Torg set, you know, if you're able to do so. You know, Torgs is just a solid set overall. If you're able to do that, have someone craft you a Torg set, you know, it's a perfectly viable, great set to use. You know, and just pair it with some strong weapon enchantments, and you're good to go. And I think that's about it. On and out. Couple of things I wanted to add real quick. I want to have my kids here making noise, but that I forgot in the original video was food. If you can afford it, Clock Mother's Citrus Fillet is great. A cheaper alternative is Witch Mother's Potent Brew or Artame's Pickled Fish. And also, I don't run Meditate in VMA only because I don't have it. I don't have my Psijic Order to level 10. If I had it to level 10, I would. but I don't. So, and also the boon I run is the Atronach. Another alternative is also the Lady, and I just wanted to add this. And thank you very much.